So, hello everyone. Um, it's a bit weird doing that, recording a video that way. I ask you about which topics you might be interested in. I could do a video about while I'm not having fosters in the house, and you're hearing and seeing my my assistant, maybe, who is thinking that this is all about her, right? She just had surgery a couple of days ago to extract stuff out of her inner ears that has built up there after she had a very bad inflammation there. So if you're seeing that she's shaved on one side of her neck, that's why. You're sitting on my papers. Do you know that? You don't care. Yeah. So Luna, I think, on YouTube suggested to make a video about questions you might have when you're considering to start fostering. So I thought that's a good idea. And I wrote down a few things which I would like to look at right now. So that this video won't be completely chaotic like I usually am when I'm talking about something. But the Mapes is right now laying down on my stuff. So yeah, so we tried it that way. Viola asked on Facebook about bottle feeding and what to do and how often to feed and to wipe bums and how to do that. I will not talk about this because it's always better when you see how to do this. I was waiting for that. They don't get along well with each other. This is Sam. Hi, Sam. He also had surgery in his ears. So if you are interested in seeing how to bottle feed tiny kittens, how to make them poo and peep, and so on, check out the channel of the Kitten Lady on YouTube, because she has awesome videos out there, and I have no kittens to show it to you right now, because if I just explain, it's just not enough. You have to see it so that you are able to follow the instructions, and especially if you have tiny kittens like that, they are so fragile that it's better that you see at least how it's done the right way. So go to the Kitten Lady. She has awesome videos out, and who are a huge help. So yeah, about fostering. If you're thinking about fostering, especially in times like that where we're all sitting more or less at home practicing our social distancing, which is an amazing time to start fostering, because I mean, of course you can Netflix 24/7, but you could also get involved into rescue work, and so we could turn this disaster of Corona into something positive, at least for the pets who depend on us, and especially because so many people are sadly turning their pets to the shelters because they are scared that they catch Corona from their pets, which is wrong, by the way. Even if your cat, for example, is tested positive on Corona, it's a complete different virus, and it doesn't pass to humans. So please, please, please keep your pets if you send them to a shelter, for example, in the US, who are already overwhelmed with animals, to turn them into a shelter would be probably a death sentence for them with no reason. And so please, please, please keep your cats and dogs. Don't turn them away out of fear. That is not necessary. So yeah, that said, if we're thinking about fostering, I remember questions that came here and there in chat, so I will respond to them. I also thought about a few other things that you might have to think about or you have to consider. The list is not complete, I'm sure about that, because I'm doing this for such a long time that I'm getting a bit blindfolded. So yeah, so how to get started? Back then when I was thinking, okay, let's get into fostering, I called our local shelter and talked to them about that I want to foster. And soon later I got Tony and Ziva into foster care. So what you have to think about is every rescue organization or shelter might have different rules about their fosters. So I'm sure you have to sign a contract that you are foster for them. They will tell you what they pay for and what they don't. Most rescues or shelters will pay for vet bills. There is a difference between that they have a vet they are working with. So you have to, for example, first call the shelter. I just say shelter now instead of shelter or rescue. That your cat, your foster is sick, having any symptoms or something, and then they will tell you if and where to go to the vet, and they will usually pre-call the vet so that they will take the costs and that you just show up, do the appointment, and don't have to pay for it. Some shelters will also provide food and litter and supplies, but this really depends. Some don't. So if you are financially not on a good foot, you have to search for a rescue then who will provide this. Also, you can, for example, voluntarily say, okay, I have the money, I can pay for this. So talk to them, and sometimes they are a bit tricky, especially about food. They want that some specific food is fed to the cats, so you have to make sure that you get all the information from them and talk through this. And if you have a contact person, for example, who is there 24/7 for you, or you need an emergency number from them, just in case that something happens out of their usual opening times. So these are the first things, the first steps. And once you're on the list, or while you're talking with them, you have to make sure that you're clear about a few things. I have at least one kitten room. Not everyone has the luxury of having a separate room for the fosters. So if you already have cats, it might be not a good idea to take in fosters that are just, for example, TNR'd or trapped outside, didn't went through quarantine, because you can always bring something to your home that you don't want to have there. Make sure that your cats are up to date with the vaccines, which is very important. Because Sam here, for example, you might see that one of his eyes is not right. It's because he had very bad cat flu when he was a kitten, and this is contagious, and he will also always carry the viruses that he catched as a kitten, like herpes and calici, and he could pass this his whole life, and so it's important to vaccine them. And the same with parvo. I mean, you know that I had twice parvo in the house. Vaccination helps. So make sure that your cats are up to date with their vaccinations. That's very important before you take any fosters in. So if you have a separate room, and sometimes it's just enough to have a bathroom to offer. You might think now, oh, it's so sad in a bathroom, locked up in the small room, but it's probably better than being in a shelter environment. You also have, when they're, for example, feral, more ability to get close to them and to get them used to handling with a human. So if you give them the whole house or flat to move around in, it might be not a very good idea, because they will hide somewhere underneath the couch or so, and you have no chance to get to them, to get close to them, and the whole socialization process will be lengthened that way, and that lowers their chances of adoption. So you have to consider about that. Also, if you're working full-time, it's not a no for fostering, but you have to think about that you can't take in bottle feeding kittens. It's harder to take pregnant cats if something goes wrong and you end up bottle feeding. You have to have a plan B. But if you're working full-time and you can't spend that much time into fosters, consider taking, for example, an elderly bonded pair of cats who would be very, very happy to have a home environment instead being in a shelter, because especially the older cats are having a very hard time in a shelter environment, and they're usually hiding somewhere and aren't seen by adopters, and very stressed out, and if you can foster them, you're helping them a lot, and they would be just happy to wait for you till you come back from work and snuggle up with you on the couch in the evening. And I'm pretty sure they're much happier in your home, in your foster home, instead of being in a shelter, even though you are working, because in a shelter people don't have time for them either, and at least they aren't that in this stressful situation. So think about that when you're working full-time and you're not sure if you're able to foster because of that. So what do you need if you're fostering? So as I said, most shelters will provide stuff that you need. For adult cats, you don't need much. You need litter box, food, litter, toys, scratching posts, and a bed or a blanket or a few. And that's pretty much all. And of course, for kittens, you need more. It's especially depending on the age of the kittens, when they're just learning to go to the litter box, for example, you need a non-clumping litter. You need smaller and lower litter boxes so they don't have to climb and so on to get in there, to make it as easy as possible for them as litter box beginners. And of course you need some blankets and beds, and probably when they are very young some milk replacement like KMR or Royal Canin. and bottles and nipples if you have to supplement feed them. And even if they just start eating noms, that you can mix up some slurry out of some gushy wet food and milk replacement, so that it's easier for them to digest. When they start on this, you need a scale in gram would be the greatest, because I think in ounce it's not so easy to see if there is a low gain in the whey or loss in the gain. I like, even though we use gram here anyway, but I think it's a bit more, you know, I'm out of practice in English, you know. You might need a playpen so you can store them away when you're out for grocery shopping or something and they don't turn your house upside down. Especially when they are very small and just learning how to go on the litter box and all that stuff. It's better to keep them a bit contained, because they are small, they are tiny kittens. They forget where the litter box is and probably peeing all over your house. You don't want that. And as easy it is for them to find the litter box and the food and the water, the easier it is to get them trained, and the faster they are safe using the litter box. You might also need some tissues or paper towels to wipe up poo and pee, and probably cleaning the bums if they are not so great in cleaning themselves yet. So not going too deep into orphaned bottle feeding kittens. As I said, you need a few more things for them. As I said, go to the Kitten Lady. She has awesome videos out. And yeah, that's about that. What else have I written down? Well, this guy here is heavy in my arms and pouring away. I think many people are like, I can't foster because I can't give them away. Yes, it's hard. Sometimes it's very hard to give them away again. But it's always a bittersweet thing. And if we would keep all the fosters that come into our house, we wouldn't have any space anymore to foster. And so we couldn't help other cats and kittens anymore, who would then stay in a shelter. And if you're in a country where the overpopulation is sadly solved by putting them down, you know, of course there are here and there some foster wins. I mean, I have Fuzzle, who's right now trying to find a place where she can sleep somewhere behind the camera. And but if you think right from the beginning about it's just a temporary thing, he or she or they are my guests, and I will make the time for them as comfortable as possible. And when it's time for them and adopters have been found, you let them go. And yes, you might cry, but I made the experience when the kitten room was empty. I usually needed a bit time till I was able to go in there, back in there, to clean the whole room, to disinfect the whole room, to get ready for the next bunch of kittens. And it's always this feeling of, it's sad they are gone, but I know they found wonderful families and they will have a wonderful life. And then I'm starting to become curious and excited about the next one who will come into my house. One thing that I want to say, what just comes to my mind, why it's so important to foster, beside of the obvious reasons, like the socializing part with humans, especially if you have shy or feral cats and kittens, which isn't possible in a shelter, or not that well, which incredibly increases their chances of adoption. Beside of that, you know, if you see the pictures that are coming out of a shelter, usually they are in a cage, or in Germany, they are usually in small rooms in little groups. If you see the pictures of them in this stressful environment, those pictures don't show the cat as it is, and which lowers the risk of adoptions. But if you have, right now you can't see it, have your cat, your foster, extremely chilled out and enjoying life, and you can make beautiful pictures of them, this makes it so much easier to adopt them out. And let me see if I can show you what's going on here on my table. Here we go. Oh, ignore the cigarette, the ashtray. Yeah. So that's what I have to deal with the whole day. That's horrible. So pictures speak a lot, and sometimes one very good picture is the whole key to adoption. And if you have a cat in a shelter environment that is probably showing huge pupils and hunching down, trying to hide and is scared, the pictures are never good. And that lowers their chance of adoption. That easy it is. And so in a home environment where it's much calmer and much less stress, and you get to know this cat much better, then it's possible than in a shelter, which also means that you can write something to your adoption contact, to the people who put them on the home pages, on Facebook, whatever, up for adoption. You can say much more about this cat. And sometimes people fall in love because of the nice words that a foster home writes about the cat, instead just of, this is Sam, he is nearly 3 years old, he is neutered, he's blind on one eye, he is up to date with his vaccination, he's microchipped. Doesn't say much about this cat. But if I tell you that he is a crazy bastard who's a bit dominant to other cats, but an incredibly snuggly, lovable, funny cat who has probably only 3 brain cells. Not sure if he probably lost 1 more brain cell during his surgery. And is purring up a storm the whole day, every time, and so playful and cute. And you know, it's something completely different, and it helps so much. So no matter who you are fostering, I see it always as something positive for the cat, and we have to think about the cat. And so yeah, think about that when you are not sure about if you want to foster, because it's so hard to give them away. Because of course we bond with them and we fall in love with them in different ways with every foster. There are some where I was really bonded to, and I'm not only talking about Lucy and Linus of the Peanuts, but also about others who was here and just, yeah, poured their way into my heart, and it was hard to give them away because of their personality. And to some you don't bond that intensely, but still it's hard to give them away. But as I said, once they are adopted out, you know you did the best for them, and they found a wonderful home, and then there is space for the next one. So I hope that clarified a few things for you. If you're considering it, you can still ask questions down below in the comments, and I will answer them. What are you doing? And see you next time, hopefully live on cam.